Okay, let's unpack this. Tonight we're doing a deep dive into the truly inexplicable, those moments where, our understanding of reality just gets challenged, pushed around, sometimes completely reshaped. I'm
Absolutely.
talking encounters with forces you can't see, mysterious entities, things that just defy logic, but they leave real marks on people.
Mm.
So for this deep dive, we've gathered some really fascinating and honestly pretty chilling personal stories. People grappling with these exact questions.
Yes, submitted accounts, right, firsthand.
Exactly. And our mission, really, is to explore these stories, look for common threads, because there are common threads, and just try to understand how people cope when something unexplainable slams right into their physical world.
Right.
So just imagine for a second, you're faced with something you can't see, can't touch, can't logically explain, but it's definitely affecting your surroundings, your safety, your whole sense of what's real. What happens then?
It's a huge question. And, it really taps into that deep human thing, that fascination with the edges of reality. What always strikes me, though, is the courage it takes for people to share these stories.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they open themselves up to disbelief, scrutiny, but people have wrestled with these kinds of accounts forever in every culture. These modern stories, they give us a unique way to look at perception, resilience, and, how fragile the boundaries of our known world might actually be.
Yeah.
We're not here to say this is real or this isn't. It's more about exploring them openly, critically, and asking you, the listener, to notice the patterns, the consistencies, and the really big questions these things raise about reality itself.
Exactly. And we're starting this exploration with maybe the most unsettling kind, these really intimate terrors, direct personal confrontations, forces that seem to single people out for these horrible up-close experiences. Okay, so our first story takes us back. San Antonio, Texas. A woman named April recalling something from when she was 16.
16, wow.
Yeah. She talks about this long-standing friendship, and her friend was always pushing her, stay over, spend the night. But April was really, really hesitant. She told us, I knew better.
Ominous. Why?
Well, the context is chilling. April had seen firsthand the kind of abuse her friend was dealing with over the years, and not just emotional stuff, physical. Her friend would often awake with scratches, bruises, and even bite marks all over her body.
Oh my God.
Right? So April genuinely believed something evil was haunting her house or was coming for her. But despite being terrified, she finally agreed to stay over. Loyalty, she felt her friend needed my support.
That's incredibly brave, actually, walking into something you fear because of friendship.
It really is. But it's also what put her right in the path of whatever was happening.
And that's a pattern, isn't it? We see that sometimes. It's like the entity's focus isn't strictly limited. It can sort of expand to include others who enter that space, that sphere of influence.
Yeah, exactly. Suddenly it's not just the friend's problem anymore.
Right, it becomes shared.
So April finally stays the night. And she describes this moment vividly. The one and only night I agreed to stay over. I awoke in the middle of the night with something on top of me.
Ugh.
She couldn't see it, but the physical feeling, totally real, horribly oppressive. She said its grip was strong and I couldn't breathe. It was choking me. I couldn't see it or pull its hands from my throat.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, this wasn't some fuzzy dream. It was a physical assault by something invisible, just pure terror. It's a classic kind of report, actually. You hear similar things from all over.
It really is. And what strikes me there is the mix of elements, that feeling of being held down, can't move, can't speak. That's a hallmark of sleep paralysis, right? Your mind wakes up, but your body's still offline, often with these incredibly vivid, scary hallucinations.
Right, I've heard of that.
But April's account, especially feeling an external grip, trying to pull away its hands, the choking, that pushes it beyond its physiology. I mean, connected to history, every culture seems to have a name for these night attacks. The Mora in Germanic folklore, incubus, succubus in medieval times, the old hag in Newfoundland.
Wow, okay.
These aren't just internal feelings they describe. They consistently talk about a real hostile presence. What April felt, especially with the scratch later, it really challenges that line between a mind trick and a hostile intrusion.
Yeah.
It suggests maybe something exists in that fuzzy space between waking and sleeping, but it can actually cause physical effects.
And that's where the usual explanations start to feel thin. Because in that moment, total terror, can't breathe, she does something, her mind goes to a desperate defense. She remembered to invoke the Lord's Prayer.
Okay.
But here's the kicker, the really weird detail.
Mm-hmm.
She said she couldn't breathe or speak because of choking. So she had to recite the prayer and my thoughts and out loud as best I could, like internally
Yeah,
desperate.
really reciting it.
Yeah. And the result, immediate, dramatic. That's when it let go and vanished. Just gone.
Wow.
Like this invisible thing reacted to her thoughts, her internal prayer. What do you even make of that?
That forces a really deep question, doesn't it? About belief, about rituals in these moments. Is the prayer working because of some inherent spiritual power, like a direct counterforce?
Maybe.
Or is it that her desperate focus on it, that invocation, gives her a mental anchor, something that lets her break free from paralysis, or maybe even pushes back the entity through sheer willpower, like changing her own energetic state? The fact that the attack stopped immediately after the internal prayer, that's a really strong data point. It suggests cause and effect somehow, regardless of the exact how.
And what happened next just makes it even weirder. April's friend, the one whose house it was, somehow slept through it.
Slept through a choking attack.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Despite April struggling. And what comes next? Friend's totally unaware. But contrast that with the friend's dog.
Ah, the animals again.
Right. April says, her dog knew I was being attacked, though, and could have even seen the creature, but I couldn't. She describes the dog just freaking out and barking and growling aggressively, but could not help me.
So the dog is an independent witness, awake, reactive.
Exactly. Sensing or seeing something that April the human couldn't. That animal intuition pops up so often in these stories. It's fascinating.
It really is. That consistent role of animals as independent witnesses is incredibly compelling. They just seem to have this heightened sensitivity, right? To things humans miss, different sensory levels, maybe intuition. Yeah. The dog growling aggressively at an unseen target, that gives a lot of weight to April's experience. It points towards something external, tangible, not just a personal hallucination. Makes you wonder how limited our own senses really are.
Totally. So after that, April was gone. No way she was staying. Made the long walk back to my house in the dark early morning, completely shaken.
I don't blame her.
But it wasn't quite over. The physical part. Later that morning, taking a shower, she felt a sharp and piercing pain travel down my back. Something or someone had scratched me.
A scratch, after all that.
Yeah. Not just a bad dream memory. A distinct physical mark from an invisible attacker.
Yeah.
How does something psychological leave a physical injury like that? It really messes with the all-in-her-head idea.
It really does. Physical marks after these unseen encounters are incredibly difficult to explain conventionally. It shifts the whole thing from perception or distress into direct physical interaction.
Right.
If something invisible can exert force, leave marks. You have to start thinking about its material properties, its energy, even if it doesn't fit our science. How does that work? Is it like an energy field that can solidify enough to scratch? It's baffling.
Ultimately, the friend's parents. Well, they had enough and moved to another city, as packed up and left.
Drastic, but understandable.
And April later confirmed the attacks on her friend stopped after they moved, which suggests the entity was tied to that house, or maybe the family in that house, but couldn't follow them everywhere.
Location-specific, then.
Right.
Or maybe person-specific within that location.
Yeah. And April's final thought on it just hits hard. I never want to go through that again. You feel the sheer terror, the emotional weight, the desperation that drives people to such extremes just to feel safe again. So April's story was a sudden, violent thing, left a mark, made her run. But what if the terror isn't one big event? What if it's this constant, quiet presence, watching you, every night, slowly grinding down your sanity?
Ah, the persistent haunting.
Yeah. That takes us to our next story, a really unnerving personal haunting. Okay, so imagine this, going to bed every single night, genuinely thinking, I might not wake up tomorrow. That's the kind of dread this next account describes.
That's a heavy way to live.
It is. This story comes from a woman who said she saw eyes watching her from a small cupboard, like a little storage space right above her bathroom door.
Okay, specific location, right above the door.
Yeah, just picture that in the dark. It's creepy.
From an analysis standpoint, that detail is interesting. It's localized, persistent, not the whole house, but this one spot. And this recurring interaction, and it feels focused, maybe implies a more deliberate intent than just random spookiness.
Definitely felt deliberate to her. Every night, she said, she watched as the tiny door slowly swung open to reveal the shape of something looking at her.
Slowly swung open.
Not a creak, not a quick peek. Slow, deliberate, like it wanted to be seen opening. And the really unsettling part, its eyes, glowing orange eyes that were not reflecting light.
Not reflecting, so self-luminous.
Exactly. She made a point of saying all the lights were off, pitch black. These eyes generated their own light. And then, got even creepier, she said, it blinked, but it was a creepy, slow blink. That freaked me out even more.
A slow blink. Ugh.
Not like an animal's quick blink. Deliberate, almost mocking. Like it knew she was watching and it was acknowledging her, showing its awareness.
Okay, that distinction, reflected light versus internal glow, is absolutely crucial. Reflected light you can often explain away. Flashlight on a cat's eyes, you know.
Right, eye shine.
But an internal glow, in total darkness, that points to something biological or energetic that's just different, not a normal animal, not an object. It suggests its own energy source.
Yeah.
And the slow blink that really pushes it towards sentient, aware, not just light or reflex. It's a signal designed maybe to maximize the fear factor.
She definitely felt the fear, and she tried to stop it desperately. At first, she tried to just open the cupboard door herself during the day.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't budge.
Wouldn't budge, even though it opened at night.
Yeah. No locks she could see. Just wouldn't open for her, which confused her even more. Like, what's holding it shut?
Invisible force, maybe.
Seems like it. The frustration, the terror, it all boiled over one night, 4 a.m. She just snapped. Got out of bed, grabbed whatever tool I could find to pry the door open. Took a lot of effort, she said. Had to hang from the door with all of my weight to finally physically tear the door off the wall.
Wow, serious effort.
Yeah. And she thought, okay, that's got to do it. The nightmare was over. Trying to convince herself, really.
That physical resistance is fascinating. No lock, but it won't open. Then takes immense force to remove. That sounds like classic poltergeist-type activity.
Poltergeist?
Yeah, literally noisy ghost. An unseen entity causing physical disturbances, moving things, making sounds, resisting force, often focused on one person. If the door was stuck but it could open it, and then it fought back when she tried to rip it off. It feels like the entity was manipulating the door's physics or just pushing back with invisible force.
Well, ripping the door off.
Ah.
It wasn't over.
Oh, no.
The chilling thing. That night, the little demon thing was back in the cupboard and watching me.
Dork.
Gone, hinges torn out, still there.
Where's the open space?
Apparently. So she tried other things, painted the whole inside of the cupboard white, maybe brighten it up, make it less appealing. Nope, she said. That fricker kept coming back.
Persistence.
Then she put a laundry basket in the cupboard, filling most of the space. But there was still a little space to the right of the basket, and guess where she saw the orange eyes next?
Right, in that little space.
Exactly. Its ability to adapt, its sheer persistence, it's just incredible. It feels intelligent.
That apparent intelligence, that manipulative quality is deeply unsettling. It adapted, it found new spots, suggests a deliberate goal, watch, and torment.
Yeah.
It's more than just residual energy. It's problem-solving, maintaining presence, playing this psychological game even when its hiding place is physically destroyed. You know, many cultures have long believed in different kinds of intelligence, not all visible or physical like us. Maybe this is one of those forms of consciousness, interacting when conditions are right.
Could be. Describing it, she thought it was small, less than a foot high, able to fit between boxes she had in there, but definitely not a rat or anything normal. Because, like she said, it could open the stuck door at will to watch me, slowly, silently, then resist her physically. No animal does that.
Right, the actions demonstrate too much agency, too much physical manipulation.
Her current solution. It sounds like pure desperation, honestly. She got another door to cover the hole, but this time she screwed it to the wall. Multiple screws, making it as permanent as possible.
Sealed it off completely.
Yeah, and so far, fingers crossed, she said, it's worked. But imagine the psychological toll. Constant surveillance by glowing eyes, trying everything, nothing working, driving you to literally screw a door shut.
Maddening. It really raises the question, what is something like that? So localized, so persistent, defying physics, showing this malevolent awareness. Is it elemental, demonic, something we just don't have words for?
Yeah.
Its ability to open a stuck door, the glowing eyes, it suggests a power that's proactive, not just reactive. It really pushes our understanding of consciousness and how it can interact very specifically, very intimately with our world.
Both these stories, April's and the Cupboard Stalker, they show this really intimate, focused terror tied to a person or a small space. Now let's kind of zoom out. Look at broader hauntings affecting whole environments. And again, we see animals playing this surprising critical role. Victims, witnesses, sometimes both. Okay, this next deep dive, it takes us into a haunting that hit multiple senses, experienced by a woman and, significantly, her dogs.
Multi-sensory, okay.
It starts late one night, maybe 2:00 a.m. She's just chilling on her couch, watching a movie. Her dog, a big one, a 75-pound blue-tick coonhound.
Solid dog.
Yeah, substantial animal.
Sleep on her legs.
Just a totally normal, peaceful scene, right? Quiet house.
Quiet before the storm, perhaps. That tranquility makes what comes next even more shocking, I find. How quickly peace can shatter and then cascade into this prolonged, multi-sensory thing affecting everyone, including the animals. It suggests a big, disruptive energy shift, something powerful manifesting.
And shatter it did. Suddenly, shockingly. Something unseen attacked the dog.
Attack the dog.
She described it vividly. Said, something grabbed my dog by the scruff on her neck and back and picked her up and hurled her across the room.
Hurled a 75-pound dog.
Nearly 20 feet, she estimated, across the room. This wasn't a bump or a nudge. This was a violent physical assault by something invisible with serious power. You can't deny the force involved there.
Absolutely not. That's significant physical force.
The dog's reaction. Pure terror, yelping, running sideways and in circles, trying to get away from whatever was after her. The owner at first thought maybe it was a seizure. The movement was so erratic. But she grabbed the dog, felt its heart just beating like crazy. Pure fear.
Physical sign of extreme terror.
Yeah. The dog, totally freaked, went and hid in my bedroom, trying to get away from whatever attacked it. That immediate violent impact on a big animal. It's really compelling evidence of something unseen, powerful, and hostile.
Extremely. That kind of physical violence against the dog implies measurable force from an invisible source. It's not just a shadow or a whisper. It's something capable of physically manipulating things with power, targeting a living being.
Right. And the dog's fear reaction, clearly different from a medical issue, it just underlines that the threat felt external and real to the dog. Makes you ask, what kind of entity can do that while staying invisible? Is it concentrated energy? Something with density we can't perceive, but that can still impact things?
And that wasn't the end. Not by a long shot. In the days and weeks that followed, it escalated, became this prolonged, multi-sensory haunting affecting the whole house.
Okay, so it didn't just stop after the attack.
No, she started hearing something huge under the house from the crawl space. This sound, she described it like a giant mechanical spider with massive legs that clunked as it moved and it thumped the floor of the house.
Mechanical spider, that's a unique description.
Isn't it? Deep, metallic, clunking sounds. She went down there, crawled around, searched everywhere, found no sign of animals nesting, nothing to explain it. And crucially, she said, the noises started the same time that thing tossed my dog nearly 20 feet.
The timing connects.
And just like the attack, her dog would go hide whenever it heard those sounds. Again, the dog reacting, confirming something was happening.
The dog validates the sound's reality, even if the human can't see the source.
Then another layer. One night, she felt a cold breeze blow into the living room beside the couch and then make its way into another room. Felt it physically blow my hair, heard it move, rustling things.
Cold spots, another classic sign.
But with the cold breeze came a smell, a distinct perfume, like a really musty old fragrance.
Okay, so sound, temperature change, scent, plus the initial physical attack. It's hitting multiple senses.
Yeah, the whole spectrum. Violence against the dog, weird sounds, cold spots, smells, clearly pointing to something persistent, pervasive in the house.
That shift from one violent event to this ongoing multi-sensory thing is really significant. It suggests the entity wasn't just passing through, it was maybe establishing itself, drawing energy to manifest in different ways.
Could be.
The distinct smell, the cold breeze, those are classic markers for poltergeist or spectral activity. The idea is the entity uses ambient energy to create tactile or olfactory effects. And the dog reacting to the noises just keeps reinforcing that these aren't subjective feelings. It's like the entity was building energy or getting bolder over time, expanding its repertoire from violence to these subtler but still scary sensory assaults.
All of this together. It was the last straw for her. She was desperate. Called her cousin, someone who knew about spiritual stuff, to come clear the house.
Bringing in help. Makes sense.
But even the cleansing itself was weird. She said the sage wouldn't light. It took almost an hour for it to light, which was so strange.
An hour to light sage. That is strange. It usually lights right up.
Right. Felt like resistance. Her cousin finally got it lit, though. Smudged the house, the crawl space, then went outside, walked the perimeter with salt, the whole 9 yards.
Traditional cleansing methods. Sage and salt.
And guess what?
Yeah.
It worked. She said nothing has come back since her visit.
Wow. So the cleansing was effective, despite the initial struggle. That resistance is compelling, though. In many traditions, that's seen as the entity fighting back, showing its strength or how strongly it's tied to the place.
Yeah, like a spiritual tug of war.
Exactly. Sage smudging aims to clear negative energy with smoke. Salt is for protection, creating barriers. Their effectiveness here, especially after a fight, it highlights how powerful intentional action and belief can be in these situations. Suggests a clash of unseen forces that took real effort to resolve. Raises that question again. Is it effective because of a spiritual truth, tapping into real protective energies? Or is it the psychological power of taking decisive action, reclaiming control? Or maybe both?
Maybe both. But the environmental mystery, it didn't totally disappear. It actually got deeper and really unsettling more recently.
Oh, what happened?
Her neighbor, just tilling his garden, found a human skull.
Whoa, a skull.
Yeah. Called the authorities. They came out, checked it, advised him to just re-earth it, basically respectfully put it back where he found it.
Interesting response from authorities. Recognizing a need for respect, maybe?
Maybe. But right after this happened, she noticed her other dog was outside, digging like crazy. Digging a hole alongside the concrete porch, frantic, like it was trying to tunnel under the porch for something.
The dog started digging right after the skull was found nearby.
Yeah, and it gave the homeowner this chilling fear. What if there's a body buried under the house?
Oh, man. That connects everything in a really disturbing way. It absolutely does. It brings in this whole other layer. How is the haunting connected to the land itself, to its history? Especially with the skull found nearby. It suggests the unrest might not be just some random entity, but tied to past events, maybe tragedy, violence associated with that specific spot.
Like the land itself holds on to it.
It's exactly place memory. The idea that strong events imprint on the environment. And the dog's digging. Right after the neighbor finds the skull, it's like the dog is sensing that disturbed ground, that lingering energy, maybe reacting to the source of the haunting itself, an agitated spirit, residual trauma tied to an unresolved death. It really makes you consider the history buried literally beneath our feet.
This story definitely ties the unseen to the location, its history, maybe its tragedies. Now, for our last account, we look at an entity that seems like it wants out, desperate to leave its location, like it's trapped. Okay, our final story. It takes us to an old gold mine, dating back to the 1800s. It's north of where this couple lives, off-grid in the mountains.
Off-grid living, okay. They might be more attuned to subtle things already.
They mentioned that, actually, so they've seen their share of unexplained things. They have a certain perspective. But this visit to the mine in the little tourist town nearby, known for being really haunted, this one shook them. The wife was emphatic. They never want to go back.
That's a strong reaction. Says a lot about the impact.
It does.
What strikes me immediately here is the potential shift in motive. An entity trying to escape. That's different from haunting or attacking. It suggests an active agenda, a goal.
Yeah, like it has somewhere it wants to be.
Right. Implying agency, intention, a more complex consciousness than we've seen so far. It's not just reacting, it's acting.
So how it started was simple enough. The husband likes taking photos from the car. He rolled down the window, snapped a couple pictures of the old mine buildings while they were still parked. And right then, our young boy suddenly started screaming and crying. We didn't know what was wrong.
The child reacts first, again.
Yep. Strapped in his car seat. Nothing obviously wrong, no threat they could see. But he was completely inconsolable. Eyes were swollen with tears. Parents tried everything. Nothing worked. Wife even got in the back with him. Still screaming. The kind of crying parents know. That isn't just fussiness.
It's that sensitivity thing again. Young children often seem to pick up on these presences first. Fewer filters, maybe. More open perception. His extreme distress, with no clear physical cause, it strongly suggests he was reacting to something his parents hadn't registered yet. A big energy shift, or just the presence of something deeply upsetting nearby.
So the wife's in the back trying to calm the kid down. And the husband just mumbled something to himself. She asks him what he said, and he tells her, kind of realizing it as he says it, something got in the car with us.
Got in the car?
Yeah. They described it like someone or something climbed into the front seat before she shut the door and walked around the car to sit in the back. Couldn't see it, but they both sure could feel its presence, distinctly, in the front passenger seat.
Both felt it. A shared tactile sensation of presence.
Yep. A palpable, heavy feeling. It really spooked us, she said.
Yeah, no kidding.
Unseen passenger, that's deeply unsettling.
So screaming kid, invisible passenger. They decide, right, we're leaving. Now, even with that thing in the car, they start driving out of town, and out of nowhere, 3 deer jumped out into the road.
3 deer. Okay, that's unusual. Husband slams on the brakes, avoids the first 2, but the last one slammed into the front passenger fender.
Hit the car
No.
right where the presence was felt.
Exactly. Minor damage, scrape, dent. And all 3 deer just took off, ran away unharmed, vanished as fast as they appeared. Just bizarre. Felt almost choreographed.
That timing, the synchronization of the deer, it feels like more than coincidence, doesn't it? Especially hitting the exact spot where the presence was. It raises those questions about other forces, maybe unseen rules governing these entities.
Yeah.
The deer acting like this almost preternatural force, creating a specific stopping point right at the edge of town. Was it telekinesis influencing the deer? Or just animals being super sensitive to the entity trying to cross a boundary? It's just too precise to easily dismiss as random chance, especially considering what happened next.
Right. And here's the crucial bit. They get out, check the minor damage. Husband turns to his wife, says, whatever was in the car, it was gone. It must have gotten out when the deer hit us.
It left when the deer hit.
Yeah. The drive home after that, uneventful. Tension gone. And the boy, miraculously, stopped crying.
Wow, okay.
They talked about it later, came up with this theory. The narrator agreed too, sounded like The Truman Show.
The Truman Show? How so?
Their belief was whatever or whomever got in our car wanted to escape the mine in town but wasn't supposed to. They think the deer jumped out right at the edge of town so we'd stop, specifically to force the entity out, prevented it from leaving. Like Truman being trapped.
Okay, so a trapped entity bound to a location. And the deer acted as enforcers, guardians, preventing its escape. That's a fascinating theory. It is. And that idea of a trapped entity tied to a place, unable to cross boundaries without help. That's an ancient motif, right?
Yeah.
Jinn bound to lamps, spirits unable to cross running water, elementals tied to domains. It's just hitting rules, energetic boundaries. But the idea of the deer acting as enforcers, that's really provocative. Was it conscious intervention, like paranormal border patrol? Or are animals just so tuned in they react instinctively when something tries to break those unseen rules, disrupting the natural order in a way we're blind to?
Who knows?
Either way, it implies this incredibly complex, interconnected, maybe even regulated unseen world operating alongside ours, where just driving through a town can accidentally make you part of some interdimensional drama. Imagine the psychological impact on that couple, realizing they might have been unwitting getaway drivers, or maybe stopped at a checkpoint they couldn't see. Profound.
These stories, wow. Choking shadows, physical scratches, glowing eyes, mechanical sounds, unseen passengers causing accidents. It's a lot. Let's try to pull back now, look at the bigger picture.
Sure.
What does it all mean for the people who go through this? And how do they even begin to cope? Okay, so let's try to unpack this a bit. We've heard 4 really different, really unsettling stories. Different manifestations, different apparent intents, but when you put them together, some striking common threads definitely start to pop out. They give us a clearer, if still deeply weird, picture of these forces and how they show up.
Yeah, what really stands out is the consistency of certain patterns, even across stories that seem quite different on the surface.
Right.
It suggests that while the details change, the basic ways these interactions happen might follow certain shared principles. Like there's an unseen rule book, maybe, and we're just catching glimpses of it.
Rule book, yeah. Okay, first big thread. These things, even though they're unseen, they consistently exert physical force or leave physical marks.
The physicality.
Think about April being choked, then finding that scratch, or the 75-pound dog being violently thrown 20 feet. The cupboard door that wouldn't budge for the woman but opened for the entity, and then physically resisted being ripped off.
Yeah.
Even the mine entity felt as a real presence, potentially involved in a car accident that left physical damage.
Right.
This isn't just feelings or imagination. It's undeniable, measurable physical interaction.
That recurrence of physical interaction is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
It pushes back hard against explanations that are purely psychological or just about perception.
Exactly.
When something invisible can exert force like that, move heavy objects, leave marks on skin, you have to start thinking about its energy, its properties, even if our current science can't measure it easily. How does it do that? Is it dense energy, some kind of resonance? And it makes you wonder, if they can do that, what are their limits? Could they be influencing things more subtly all the time, ways we don't even notice? Magnetic fields, maybe? Our moods? Who knows?
That's a spooky thought. Okay, second thread. The apparent intelligence, the agency these things show.
Yeah, the sense that they're not just random.
Right. April's night terror seemed to react directly to her prayer, vanishing instantly. The cupboard entity was so persistent, adapting night after night, finding new ways to watch even after the door was gone. And the mine entity seemed to have a clear goal: escape. Maybe even manipulating the deer to achieve it. These don't feel like echoes or random energy. They feel like they have intent, awareness, maybe even strategy, like some kind of consciousness.
That display of intelligence and agency is profound, maybe the most chilling part. It implies a level of awareness of purpose that makes them more than just phenomena.
Yeah.
Adaptability, responding to humans, maybe orchestrating events. It suggests a complex form of being, whatever it is. It really opens up the possibility of non-human intelligences sharing our reality, just on a different plane.
Yeah.
And it makes you ask, if they're intelligent, do they have motivations we don't grasp? Emotions, ways of communicating we can't decode. If they're strategic, what's their goal? What rules guide how they interact with us?
Big questions. And the final thread, maybe the most consistently overlooked. The animals. Their incredible sensitivity.
Like, absolutely crucial.
April's dog knew she was being attacked, growling at something unseen. The big blue-tick coonhound was violently assaulted, then kept reacting fearfully to those weird mechanical sounds only it and the owner seemed to perceive consistently. Even the other dog digging frantically near the porch after the skull discovery. It sensed something important down there before the humans put it all together. Animals constantly register these things in ways humans initially don't or can't. They're often the first or the most reliable warning sign.
That role of animals as these sensitive barometers is so compelling. You see it in folklore, even in some animal behavior studies. It really suggests they operate on different sensory levels, maybe intuitive levels, picking up frequencies or energies or presences we just filter out. They act like unbiased observers, which adds so much credibility to the human accounts. It forces us to think about how much reality we actually perceive directly. What else is sharing our space, undetected by our limited senses? Are they hearing infrasound, feeling electromagnetic shifts? Or is it something even more subtle, like a direct energetic signature our complex brains just ignore?
So people have these terrifying experiences. Their whole sense of safety gets blown apart. What stands out about how they respond? How do they cope?
Well, if you look at the bigger picture, the responses often tap into really basic human needs, right? The needs for protection, for control, for some kind of understanding when faced with the totally unknown, and the methods they use. It's this fascinating mix of tradition, desperate improvisation, and just sheer willpower to get some safety back.
We saw such a range of actions, often desperate. April being physically attacked, her instinct was spiritual, invoking the Lord's Prayer, an immediate, seemingly effective defense, a really personal, internal act against perceived evil in a moment of vulnerability.
Primal response, almost.
Then you have the more ritualistic approach. The cousin using sage and salt to clear the house where the dog was attacked. And remember how the sage resisted lighting for an hour?
Yeah, that resistance.
It wasn't a quick fix. It was this deliberate ceremonial effort. Smudging the house, the crawl space, walking the perimeter with salt, creating a barrier. The resistance implies a real struggle, like a spiritual fight was happening.
Using spiritual or ritual tools, it says a lot about trying to exert control over something you can't physically grab. Prayer, smudging. These actions are often about declaring intent, psychologically resetting boundaries.
Right.
The sage resistance could be seen as direct energetic pushback from the entity, implying a real clash of forces.
Yeah.
And it brings up that question again. Do these rituals work because they tap into some genuine spiritual reality, real protective energies? Or is it the psychological power of taking decisive action, convincing yourself consciously and subconsciously that you're back in control? Maybe it's both. Maybe belief itself changes the energetic reality somehow.
Could be. And then there are the really direct physical actions, barriers, avoidance, almost like a self-preservation instinct kicking in.
Fight or flight.
April leaving your friend's house immediately, can't stay another second, flight. The woman with the cupboard stalker, tearing the door off wasn't enough. She eventually screwed another door to the wall. Extreme physical barrier. The couple at the mine felt the presence, fled the town, vowed never to return. Avoidance. And April's friend's family just moved away entirely. Drastic, costly.
Yeah.
But it ended their problem.
Yeah.
These actions show such profound desperation. The lengths people go to just to escape or contain these things shows how deep that need for peace and safety runs.
These different approaches, spiritual, ritual, physical barriers, avoidance, they really showcase that improvisational, sometimes desperate human response to the inexplicable. They underline how much these entities disrupt that core sense of safety, of sanctuary, of home. And the fact that something worked in each story, whether it lasted or not, suggests that taking decisive action, any kind of action, can shift the dynamic. Even if you don't fully understand what you're dealing with, acting decisively matters. It also shows human resilience, right? how we adapt and innovate when faced with total mystery, just trying to find equilibrium again, even using extreme or unconventional means. Pretty remarkable, in a way.
So we've gone through these intense stories. Even when the immediate danger passes, it's clear the impact sticks around. Leaves people with huge questions, often emotional scars.
Absolutely. What's really fascinating is just how deeply these experiences affect people. They fundamentally reshape your sense of safety, your sense of reality. They push you right to the edge of what you thought was possible, and usually leave you with more questions than answers, just a completely altered view of the world.
You hear it in their words, the confusion. What the hell is this about? What could it be? The accounts themselves, they don't give us neat labels, ghosts, demons, elementals, something else entirely we don't even have words for.
Right. The categories are often inadequate.
And our goal here wasn't to slap labels on them anyway, but to explore the experiences, the common threads, the human reactions. April saying, I never want to go through that again.
Yeah.
That feeling resonates. These things leave deep marks. They change lives, change how you see everything, change your basic sense of security.
And that's the ongoing challenge for science, for psychology. How do you fully account for stories like these? They often just don't fit our current models or methods. They force us to consider the limits of our own perception, the possibility of realities operating beyond our current grasp. There's always more to learn, right? About the mind, about consciousness, about how our reality might intersect with them. Other dimensions, maybe? The fact that we lack definitive labels doesn't make the experiences less real for the people involved. If anything, it just highlights how much we don't know, how vast the unknown might be, and how small our current understanding is within potentially a much bigger, stranger reality. Our scientific tools might only be measuring a tiny fraction of what's actually out there.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we really turn it back to you listening. How do you process stories like this? What would you do if something utterly unexplained happened in your home, in your life? These aren't just spooky tales. They're really invitations to think about the edges of your own understanding and maybe the limits of what we all call reality. And that really brings us to the end of this pretty profound deep dive into unseen forces, unexplained encounters. We've journeyed through some genuinely chilling personal stories, and they paint this consistent, deeply unsettling picture, don't they? From April being choked in a bedroom, finding that scratch, to the relentless cupboard stalker with its glowing orange eyes, the poor blue-tick coonhound attacked, followed by that whole multisensory haunting, and even that unseen passenger trying to hitch a ride out of a haunted mine.
So what's the big takeaway? What does it all mean? I think the core thing looking across these terrifyingly different stories is the incredible consistency of certain elements.
Yeah.
Unseen forces having real physical effects marks, moving objects, the apparent intelligence, the agency, suggesting conscious will behind it all, and that crucial role of animals acting as these sensitive witnesses, sometimes even victims. These deep dives, they give us this unique, unsettling view into the unknown. They keep pushing the boundaries of what we think we know about the world, asking us to look beyond what's immediately obvious.
And that leaves us with a pretty important question, maybe something for you to think about long after this conversation is over. Something to just mull over, in the quiet moments. If these unseen forces can interact with our physical world, from something as small as a scratch to maybe influencing an entire incident with deer in a car, what other, maybe more subtle influences could they be having? Things happening in our lives that we just brush off as coincidence. Perhaps the unexplainable isn't just out there in spooky old houses or mines. Maybe it's closer than we think, woven into the fabric of our everyday lives in ways we haven't even begun to recognize.